What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Hockeytalk Nation with me, Dan, and our good friend who's coming on for a second time. We have Neil from Devil's State of Mind. So let's all give Neil a good welcome back to the show. Second timer. There's only been a few of these second timers, so congratulations on the big event.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's glad to be back on. Wish it was under better circumstances, obviously, with the way both of our teams are playing right now. But nonetheless, I'm excited to be back on. Excited to hang out with everybody in the chat as well. And yeah, just ready to talk some hockey.
Awesome. It's great to have you back again. And as we were talking backstage, we've got a lot to discuss tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Just between our two teams in general, we could probably go all night on that, but we're going to cut it down a little bit. But just before we get going, just want to say shout out to everyone in the chat. We have Dewey in here. We have Robert. We have Barry. Us three were talking about the old Monday Night Wrestling wars between WWE and WCW back in those days.
Yep. I actually watched the what's it called? The Vince McMahon Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I haven't watched that one yet.
I wasn't I was into wrestling like a little bit when I was a kid, not like really big. And I knew who Vince McMahon was. I watched like old clips of him and Stone Cold Steve Austin, just the bits because they're just so funny to me. But like watching the documentary and like learning about like the journey and honestly learning how insane like Vince McMahon is, it was a wild experience. Like I would highly recommend anybody who like is into wrestling like watch that documentary because it's crazy.
Definitely. We got Vince Sportscard ripping teacher in here. We have our good friend. Well, maybe not your good friend, but my good friend Goza from over across the pond there.
I can't escape this man, no matter where. Goza, I thought you'd be on. I thought you'd be on the THPN chat with Jimmy tonight while during the Rangers game. He just loves the fact that I'm on here. This is the only reason he's here. This is the bust my chops for the next hour.
And we have Zach's Collections in here. Thanks for coming in, Zach. We appreciate you guys. And we'll keep shouting out the more people join us as well tonight. But as always, before we get started, we got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor on the show for every show, and that is Tsunami Sportscards. So give a big shout out to Tsunami Sportscards. If you're looking for singles for your collection, check him out on eBay. He's also on Whatnot now. And if you use Tsunami 15, I do believe, you get $15 towards your first purchase there as well. So check him out. If you use DM Hockey 88 on the eBay store, you save 25% off your first purchase. So go check him out. Shout out to Ultimate Sports Cards, Brandon. He's in here. Thanks for coming in, Brandon. I seen Goza. Goza said he was watching Jimmy earlier.
You could still go. You could still keep watching him if you want. Game's not.
Goza, shots are fired, bud. But yeah, so we got a lot to go over for hockey tonight. Today on the Friday Night Hockey News, we have Mitch Marner recorded his 500th career assist. That's a big milestone for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's obviously come a long way in his NHL career, and with every game that passes by this year, you wonder if it's going to be the last time you'll see him in a Maple Leafs uniform. With the salary cap going up and the contract demands that he has reportedly been wanting, you wonder if he's going to stay in Toronto beyond this year. I don't know if he will. But, we'll see. But good on him. Congratulations, 500 career assists. I think he's on his way to a potential Hall of Fame career with the way he's been playing. And, just good for him.
Goza says, give it 5 minutes and the Penguins will score about 3 goals without Crosby.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice, Goza, for sure.
Well, Goza, it's 2-1 Rangers right now. So
there you go.
You're getting close. Our
So gross.
second set of news is Shane Pinto is day to day for the Sens with the upper body injury. Nothing new there. As Avalanche, Josh Manson is out for the next 2 games with the upper body injury as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 key pieces right now for 2 playoff teams there.
Thank God for the Four Nations break, right? Honestly,
Yeah,
a lot of
really.
these teams. Thank God it's coming around like this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Um, we have the big news of Marcus Pettersson signed 6 years with the Canucks for 5.5 AAV. I think that's a good pickup for them.
I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, I granted, I know like the salary cap is going up over the next couple of years. I get it, but like it just seems like a lot of years for, you know, a defensive defenseman. But hey, you know what? Like the Canucks want to try to continue to be competitive despite the JT Miller move. And they want to try to keep their guys. They seem to be really happy with Marcus, Pedersen, and they locked him down for, just under 6 million. So I guess in the long term, as the salary cap does go up, 5.5 million won't seem like that much money per year.
Yeah, and now we have 3 Pedersons on the same team, so that's going to be very
We had the
interesting.
ultimate Pedersen trio. I think it was last night, might have been 2 nights ago. They had
And
all of
then
them in the
2 of
lineup
them
at
are
the same
on
time.
D.
Yeah, and 2 of them are on D. It's the hockey gods knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
And then, as we were talking about 4 Nations, Crosby is up in the air right now for 4 Nations as he's hurt. So that's going to be a big blow to Team Canada if he can't go.
Yeah, he actually got injured in the Devils game a couple nights ago in their shootout loss. He did return to the game and ultimately took a shot in the shootout, didn't score, but it looked like he got his hand caught in between both Luke Hughes and I think it might have been Brett Pesce at the time. I think they were both going for the puck. It wasn't a dirty play. It was just a freak, unfortunate situation. And I don't know if he broke his wrist. I don't know if he twisted it poorly. Like I don't know exactly what it is. But yeah, if Team Canada's without Crosby, I know that they still have they still have a very talented forward pool, but losing your captain before you even play is not how you want to start this tournament.
No, definitely not, especially when we don't have the goaltending like the other 4 Nations teams do. They all have goaltending except for us. Because I do not rely on
the rest of
Jordan
the hockey
Bennington.
world, I guess.
I do not rely on Jordan Bennington at all. Just putting that out there.
You got Aiden Hill. It's not necessarily that bad.
Yeah, but still. Next, we got JT Miller back to New York. We'll get to that a little bit later. We'll dive in a little bit to that. And then something for your Devils. He sure put on IR and Simon Nemec called up.
Yeah, that was kind of to be expected. I think it's the right move. Again, he just for clarification, he was put on IR retroactive to the 25th of January when he got hurt against the Montreal Canadiens. And he could, in theory, based on the fact that he's already passed the timeline, that he could return as early as tomorrow. I doubt that he will play tomorrow. But Sheldon Keefe did say prior to last night's game that he would be very surprised if Hischier wasn't ready by the time the team got back on the 22nd. He's already been skating again, so it's not like this is a major injury that he's dealing with. I would imagine it's probably a cracked rib. That was the best guess that I could give anybody. And then with Nemec getting called up, I mean, a lot of Devils fans wanted to see him get called up. He even expressed it earlier this year. He had a really, really brutal game last night against the Golden Knights. Made a lot of mistakes. Ended up getting benched at one point. So not the best way to make your case. He'll probably end up playing tomorrow. Hopefully he can play better. And we'll see where things go from there. But yeah, not what you want to see. But at the same time, thank God for the Four Nations break. And he sure wasn't even going to be in it anyway because Switzerland's not involved. So it's fine. And it's fine either way. And, with Jacob Markstrom out, for another couple weeks, he might be back by the time we get back from the break, which is great. Now Siegenthaler getting hurt. and he's going to probably, who knows? It's been rumored that he might have a broken ankle. I don't know. It's not what you want to go through at this time of the year, especially when you're a contending team. But you got to get through it, and
Definitely.
Devil's certainly struggling to do so.
And then we have the Oilers. Knobloch becomes the third fastest coach to 80 NHL wins, which is huge for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's had a very quick rise in the NHL ranks since he took over last year in Edmonton, and turned out to be probably the best choice that the Oilers could make as far as coaching is concerned.
Yeah, definitely. And it helps when you have a Leon Draisaitl and a Connor McDavid to win you games as well.
True. It's true. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have those guys.
Then we got the Wild's Hartman suspended 10 games, but I also heard that he's going to appeal this as well.
Yeah, I think the NHLPA is going to appeal this. I think it should be down to 5 games. I thought 10 was a bit extreme. I understand the severity of the play. And yeah, he should be suspended for a pretty good amount of time. But I thought 10 games was a bit overkill. I'd cut it down. I think they'll end up getting it in the middle and probably end up with 5. But, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Shout out to Dig It for coming in. And Aaron, Sportscards and things. Thanks for popping in, guys. Appreciate it. Then we have, which I think is really weird.
Yeah, Vinny
goes up. And that's the Kings putting Brent Clark on the trading block. This is a 20-year-old defenseman who's still got huge upside.
Yeah, I mean, that's, he ended, funny enough, he ended up having a goal last night on the Kings game. But yeah, ever since Drew Doughty came back, he has dramatically dropped in the lineup for, that's actually funny. They've dropped dramatically in the lineup. And, it's great. Like you said, he's 25 years old. He's a young kid. Like, he's still easily is a top 4 defenseman on a lot of teams. So if the Kings are looking to move him, you better hope you get a pretty good haul for him, because teams are going to be chomping at the bit to try to get a guy at Clark's ability and age with that contract. I mean, I don't like that the Kings are choosing to keep Drew Doughty, like, moving forward over the young kid Clark. That's just me. This is the same reason why I don't think Team Canada should add Drew Doughty to the team to replace Pietrangelo. I don't think that's the right move. I think guys like Evan Bouchard deserve more of a shot, but sometimes,
or Mackenzie Weegar in Calgary.
Or Mackenzie Weegar for sure. Yeah, I don't like this. I hope the Kings don't move him, but whoever gets him, if they do move him, is going to get one quality defenseman for sure.
And he can quarterback your power play, which is huge as well.
Fun fact, his brother was once a top prospect for the Devils, Graham Clark, who's now with the Minnesota Wild. They both played together at, I think they were both with the Ottawa 67s. I know Graham was. I don't remember if Brant was. I think Brant might have been a Barry Colt. I think about it. I don't remember. I don't watch enough junior hockey to be able to tell you guys to remind you like who played where.
And then we got CC and Granlund to the Sharks, which is huge for them. And I think the Sharks are working on signing both players too. Or
Yeah,
the Stars, sorry.
Yeah. The Stars definitely want to keep both, which is good because, Cody CC has been a reliable defenseman for the last couple of years. Mikael Granlund was probably one of the top goal scorers, at least at the time, available on the trading block. And the Sharks got some draft capital, which is good. They got a conditional first, which I'm sure you'll take any day of the week. I think it ended up working for both teams. I like what the Stars are doing. They don't need to make a big splash. You could call this a big splash if you want, but what's interesting is that they're not done reportedly. They're looking for yet another defenseman even after acquiring Cody Ceci. So we'll see what they end up doing. But I wouldn't be surprised, Dan, if both of those guys remain a Star beyond this season.
Definitely. Especially with, I think, Miro hurt as well. That's kind of CC's just filling in.
Yeah.
And then we got Utah with 3 potential names. The Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth and Utah Outlaws. Anyone that really sticks out to you here?
I'll say the same thing that I said to a lot of my friends in a group chat. I said, "Give me Utah Mammoth or we riot." I think that's the best of the three names that are, potentially available. I think the marketing that you can do with Utah Mammoth, is great. Uh, yeah, I would just like to see it. And you know what? We'd finally get another team that doesn't have an S at the end of their name, which would be
Yeah, that's
awesome.
true.
We don't get a lot of that. I remember when the Kraken came into the NHL, everybody was like, "Oh my god, we have a team that doesn't have an S at the end of their name. This is awesome." Like, so I would like to see that. Um, but I really hope it's Mammoth. Um, that's just what I hope for.
Yeah, I can't see it being Utah Hockey Club because every NHL team is a hockey club, so it just makes no
Yeah,
sense.
it's
And
like
the
when
Outlaws,
it's like when the Washington football team was like, "We could stay football team, or we could be something else." And it's like, yeah, well, obviously every team is a football team in the NFL. So just pick something at least decently creative, and they went with the Commanders.
and
There you
then
go.
the Outlaws is just because it's Arizona got moved, so they consider themselves the Outlaws now. But that one just doesn't make sense to me either.
Hmm.
And then we got probably the biggest news that hit today, and that is the Islanders putting Noah Dobson on the trade block.
I think I think a lot of that has to do with the play of Tony D'Angelo, because D'Angelo, as crazy as that is, and they also did. They brought in Tony D'Angelo, and then they picked up Adam Boquist off of waivers. So they clearly wanted to reshape their defense a little bit, and it has worked. To give them credit, it has worked. They've been one of the hotter teams of late. But Noah Dobson, I mean, he's still a big body defenseman, doesn't put up a lot of points. So really what you're hoping for is he could be a bottom pairing defenseman that could be physical and block shots. And I think for a contending team, I think that could do well. Think of it like a Chris Tanev like last year. Is kind of the similar thing. Um, we'll see. We'll see if that ends up getting happening. We still have a lot of time before the trade deadline, but
Definitely.
names are also flying off, coming off the board left and right every other day.
Yeah. Move on to our next thing here,
So,
and that is our Kitchener Ranger draft watch.
I
And
know
as
none
you
of
can
these
see
people, by the
above,
way. Nobody
what?
roast me. I know nothing about this. I am learning as I go along.
And as you can see above, I have the alternate Rangers flag from Dig who sent this in. So thanks, Dig. Appreciate it. So our draft watch. So Cameron Reed, who's probably going to go top 12 in this year's draft, and it's a big buy defenseman. Put games played, he has 50. He has 10 goals, 31 assists, and 51 points. So he's doing all he can for that Rangers team. Then we have Luca Romano at 49 games played, 18 goals, 20 assists for 38 points. And then we have Tanner Lane at 49 games played, 10 goals, and 28 assists for 38 points. So that's a little bit of our Kitchener Ranger update. And we'll stay tuned for next Friday to see who's progressed more.
So
Good
anybody
thing
from America that plays for Kitchener, I'm actually just going to look this up myself. I don't think so. Nope, none of you people are from America. Oh, no, we have
Goza
one.
says
We have
learning is
one.
a good thing, Neil, even if it's a team named the Rangers.
Oh, great, that's awesome. Glad I got that. I'm glad I got that. Oh, we have a kid from Illinois, Simon Motto, defenseman. Well, there's something for you. Interesting. I also saw that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right, Kitchener is in sixth place in the
Yep.
standings. Right? They clinch a playoff behind the. Why are the London Knights good again? Jeez,
The
that
London
was
Knights are always good.
clearly
That's
right.
Dale Hunter.
Oh, go figure. Oh, go figure. And then I remember growing up and the Barry Colts were good. Now they look. I mean, granted, they made the last playoff spot, but they're not very good.
No. And
But
the worst part about the Rangers, this is a rebuild season for the Kitchener Rangers.
how was that bad though? Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, that is. So,
Hey, top six finish. that's pretty good if you ask me.
Yep. Definitely. Now we gotta go into our fantasy hockey because I know some of the fantasy guys in here are looking forward to this. So we have Deep Diggers sitting at first. We have Hams Panthers at second. We have Land Krakens at third. We have Slappy at 4, and we have Crosby team sitting at 5th place right now.
Is the person who is named Deep Diggers in this chat?
Yes, he is.
Which one is Deep Diggers?
That would be Dig It.
Okay, well that makes sense now that I think about it. What it's just a funny name to me. I don't mean to laugh that much, but it's just really funny. Really funny. Good on him. I'd like to see his team. I'd like to see what's making him so good.
I don't know, but he keeps trying to get Victor Hedman off me, but it's just not happening.
He's trying to pull a fast one on you.
Yeah, he's trying, but it's not happening.
I don't like that.
We go on to our next slide here. When it wants to click over, there we go. We have our trade and rumors. So this one's going to be pretty good. This is about all the trades that have happened. There's been a lot in the NHL, but before we get into the NHL, why don't we talk about the trade that shook up the whole sports world, and that's Luka Doncic to the Lakers.
I think the NBA was getting pissed off that the NHL was taking up all the news from all the trades they were making, and we're like, you know what? Watch this. And then just decided at, I think it was, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. They were like, yeah, we're going to drop this trade. I was asleep, to be fair, when it happened. Granted, I've been recovering from the flu, unfortunately, so I've been going to sleep earlier and earlier every night. But I woke up at like 6:30 in the morning to my friend in all caps going, Luka Doncic to the Lakers. And I'm like, damn. All right. Wish my team made a trade like that, but, so, I mean, shoot, like, see, it's the type of move that really starts to make you question the like legitimacy of the NBA, because the deal makes no sense for the Mavericks, like none. This is where I get all conspiracy and think the NBA just like really, really wants the Lakers to be good. And like in some way, shape, or form force the Mavericks to make a stupid deal that doesn't make any sense and has no value to it. So like, and now all of a sudden Luka's like healthy enough to play after being like, I had no idea when he was coming back. And now he's going to be back on Monday apparently. And I'm just like,
and like to top it off, Dallas got way more than what they got for it. Like they got robbed for it.
They got robbed blind. You mean to tell me that other teams in the NBA couldn't make a deal similar or better than the Lakers did to get Luka Doncic? Come on. See, that's where the guys. See, this is where you put on your tinfoil hats and you start making your conspiracy theories, because it's like it doesn't add up. Like the trades in the NHL that we're going to go off of, you could see where we're coming from. You could see how it benefits both teams. Maybe not the Blackhawks, but still, like, something, it just doesn't seem right to me. Something seems very fishy. Something seems very David Stern, may he rest in peace, fishy about it to me. But I get, Luka's a Laker. It's going to roll off the tongue very nice. The best part, which I don't know if you saw, he is now ineligible for a over $300 million max extension. So good job. So I don't know if it was a money thing or if he just wanted to be a Laker or whatever, but great job.
From what I heard, it was because the Mavericks traded him. This is, so I quote, the Mavericks traded him because he was getting fat. That's what I quote that I saw.
You know what? James Harden got fat and he's still playing in the league and making millions of dollars. So like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I know.
All right, cool. Yeah, you know what? This guy single-handedly on like one leg was carrying the Mavericks to an NBA final. He's allowed to get a little fat every now and then.
Definitely. Shout out to Maiden's World of Wax for coming in. Thanks for coming in, Maiden. All right, so we got our basketball out of the way there. This is going to go good because now we're getting into the trades and rumors for the NHL, which there were quite a bit, actually, a couple big names too as well. So our first trade we're going to go into is the Canucks and Rangers trade JT Miller, Eric Brandstrom, and Jackson Dorrington to the Rangers for Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, and a first-round pick in 2025. Do you want to go first on this one, or do you want me?
It's up to you. I don't, it's your team.
I think it is the worst trade heavenly possible. JT Miller is an absolute, excuse my French here, but a douche in the locker room. We traded him once because our coach and him didn't get along when we drafted him. Now we're bringing him back. The only best part out of this deal that I think is Jackson Dorrington, who hasn't even played in the NHL yet. He's an NCAA prospect. And we absolutely got robbed of Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, who was going to be a top 4 defenseman for us, and a first-round pick. So if you want, that is my take on this, is hot garbage, and Drury has to go.
You know, I talked about this a lot because there were some rumors leading up to this that the Devils were poking around at JT Miller, and I believe that they were. There's no question, but I had accepted the fact that JT Miller wanted the Rangers and no one else. I don't think he was really interested in going anywhere else, just based on who he knows in New York. And, there was a rumor that apparently the Devils had a deal or were closing in on a deal for JT, and JT kind of nixed it because he didn't want to go to the Devils because of the rivalry with the Rangers and his connection there. I don't care. I really don't care. I think the bottom line is that the Rangers, obviously, they were looking to try to get a guy in a situation where the Canucks, you could easily say, were in a very no-win situation for themselves. Ironically enough, they ended up walking out of it not too bad. You get Philip Hedl, who I think he scored like in his first game as a Canuck, I think right away, which ironically Capo Caco did the same thing after he got dealt to Seattle. Victor Mancini, young, solid prospect, honestly, not bad. And you get a first-round pick out of it. You know what? I honestly think that the Canucks got about as good as you were going to get in the circumstances that were put out there. That's the way that I look at it through all of this. So good on the Canucks. I still think they end up trading Elias Pettersson. I don't think the drama and the bad stuff that's happened in Vancouver is going away.
No.
I mean, JT was one of the guys that had to go, but I wonder how many people are happy that Pettersson's still there. Elias Pettersson, let me be clear, not the other.
Yeah.
So we'll see. As far as the Rangers are concerned, like, all you're doing is you're hoping that he can kind of carry you to to a playoff spot. And granted, they're not out of it. They're very much still there, but they got some teams ahead of them that are playing very well right now. You have the Blue Jackets, and you have even the Islanders that are above you and playing at a pretty high level right now. So you got to win games like tonight. I don't know what the score is at this point, but you got
3-2 right now, Pittsburgh.
I mean, they lose this game at home to the Penguins. That really,
Yeah.
like, the Rangers are in a situation where you may really have to break up this core in order to go. Like, okay. I think Dan remembers I talked about this in the last time I was here. The Rangers never rebuilt, they retooled. There's a difference between rebuilding your team and retooling. They retooled because they already had several of the guys that they have now when Jeff Gordon put out that infamous letter to the fans. You got to rebuild now, and I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you wanted to keep Shesterkin long term. I get it. But, like, at the same time, is he going to want to be here for the long haul of this team maybe not being that good? Having him carry the team? like a certain number 30 did for like a handful of years at the end of his career. I don't know. But call me biased, whatever, right? If you want to call me that as somebody who's a Devils fan, whatever. I'm just calling it from my perspective that the Rangers need an overhaul.
Definitely.
That's why
the only one untouchable player on this team, and I will go to the grave saying it, is Braden Snyder, the defenseman. That is the one untouchable player on this team.
So Shesterkin is still a touchable player despite getting a long-term extension?
No, get rid of him. I didn't want him to sign the extension. I really didn't.
So he's going to end up in Vegas for nothing, ladies. Just everyone be mentally prepared for that. Just be prepared for that.
Yeah, he really is.
No way the Rangers trade him in the Eastern Conference. No way. No. Not a shot.
They don't want to play against
Utah.
them.
Yo, send him to Utah. Send him. Yes. There we go. There's your marketable player in Utah.
Yeah, send him to Utah. Give me Vermelka. I don't care.
Vermelka's actually not that bad.
No, he's not. He's actually pretty good.
Not that bad of a goaltender.
Let's go on to our next one here, and that is the Hurricanes trading Jack Drury, Martin Nakis, and a second-round pick in 2025 and a fourth in 2026 to the Avs for Mikko Rantanen, and the Blackhawks trade Taylor Hall to the Canes for a prospect Niels Jumptop and a third-round pick. So the Blackhawks really got nothing. They're just there to get the money.
They got a steaming pile of nothing. Because here's what's happening, people. The Blackhawks did this for one reason and one reason only. To be nice to Mikko Rantanen. So if and when he ends up as a free agent, they can go, hey, come to the Blackhawks. We did you a favor. So now come here. Be like the star player next to Connor Bedard. You can make $15 million a year or whatever he wants, and you'll be good. Now, good on Eric Tulsky and the front office of the Carolina Hurricanes for making a move like this. We as hockey fans have been begging for a bombshell type of move that nobody saw coming for a long time. We've been waiting for this. So good on him for doing it. I love the Rantanen addition, except the only thing is, and again, it is still early, he hasn't really gotten going yet. And Martin Necas has been high flying in Colorado, no pun intended, since he got there. He's playing really well. That one goal he set up against, sorry, I hate to say this, but that one goal he set up against the Rangers in his first game, I swear to God, I thought that was Rantanen, but with a right-handed shot. Because he had speed to burn. I was like, holy crap. And I'm thinking to myself, like, did the Avalanche like unlock a different Martin Necas that we didn't know about? And like, I know, speaking to Hurricanes fans, they were really down about giving up Jack Drury because he's a very productive player, good energy guy. So that's unfortunate. But look, I don't think the Hurricanes are done. I think they do need to add goaltending, and then you have a complete team. Yeah. I think you have pretty much what you need. I just think you need to add goaltending. I think John Gibson is the perfect addition to this team. That would be the guy I'd like to see Carolina go after. I don't think it's, but I think the only problem is that if they go after him, then they have less money to then give Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
So who knows?
And I think Chicago, as we said earlier, I think they're going to look at Rantanen and Marner.
Can you imagine next year we just get a line of like Rantanen, Bedard, and Marner?
But you want to know one thing? This year, you have not heard one lick about Bedard. And I've been telling people he is not that great of a player. And this year, you have not heard one thing about him.
I think he's a good player. I just think his attitude stinks. But again,
now,
what did you expect?
But now you hear everything about Macklin Celebrini.
It's true.
This kid, Macklin Celebrini, reminds me so much of Jonathan Taves. It is not even funny.
He's a very good player. The Sharks, give it 3 years. They're going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, especially now they have a goalie. They have their first line center. They have Will Smith. They have so many good prospects that it's going to be unreal.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And who knows? Maybe they end up with the first overall pick again this year. Maybe Higgins becomes a Shark. I mean, you add yet another top-level prospect. Shoot, I think you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So I think for the Sharks, man, just try to stay patient. I know it sucks because you went through 20-plus years of being a contender and you didn't come out with anything. But I think that I don't think it'll take them that long to get back to a high level again. Celebrini's fun to watch. He's a young kid. Got to put some weight on him, though, but that'll come with time.
And then 18. We got another huge trade, which I'm surprised this trade happened.
This trade makes no sense.
The Flames send Jacob Peltier and Andre Kuzmenko and some picks to the Flyers for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee.
And guess what, fans? Kuzmenko hasn't even played a game yet for the Flyers because he has visa issues. So this trade is working out just fine. Here's the thing, okay? Good on the Flames, okay? Like, Craig Conroy might be up for GM of the year just with one of this move. And I'll tell you why. Because they were looking for another solid young center to help with their center depth. Did exactly that. And you add another forward. You add two guys who at one point were two of your top young players in Philadelphia, who then come over to Calgary, a young team that could very well make the playoffs this year in a very tight Western Conference wildcard race. Like, good on the Flames gave up. I'm sorry. I know Jacob Peltier is like a fan favorite, but with Kuzmenko having the struggle that he's had this year, I think that the Flames literally got these two players for nothing. That's the way that I look at it. So good on. I mean, I think that they're going to really like playing for Ryan Huska. And the Flames, folks, they're no longer rebuilding. This is a team that is now going to take that next step. And I think they end up in the playoffs too.
Yep. Especially the way Dustin Wolf's been playing.
If he doesn't, I know that, okay, I know Celebrini's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, but like Dustin Wolf should be a close second.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he definitely should.
Maybe he should be up for the Vezina too.
Yeah. If they make the playoffs, he better be.
With some of the injuries to some of the other top guys, I'm just saying, like, you know, he might be.
Calgary really took their time with Wolf, and you can see the payoff right now with it.
Why do you think it was a lot easier for them to move on from Jacob Markstrom in the offseason? Because they knew that they had this young kid waiting in the wings.
Yep.
So good on him. Good stuff. Calgary's
really
good.
The Flames and Flyers deal has to be the most underrated deal out of all these right now, and that's going to be the biggest payoff.
It's a great move. That was another, like, if you're a hockey fan, you could consider that more of somewhat of a bombshell move. Like, whoa, if you're like a sports fan, you have no idea what the hell this means. If you're like a nonchalant hockey fan, you're gonna be like, what the hell is this? Why should I care?
Yeah, definitely.
You should care.
And then we got the next trade where the Canucks traded Danton Heinen, Vincent Desharnais, and a prospect, Melvin Franstrom, and a first-round pick in 2025 to the Pens for Marcus Patterson and Drew O'Connor, which I'm shocked that they traded Drew O'Connor because that's Sidney Crosby's right-hand man right now.
Well, Drew O'Connor was already rumored to be on the trading block anyway, so I think that to me, it doesn't come as much as a surprise. I'm just surprised. Like, let's call it like it is, Dan. Like, most of this is just to get Pedersen. Like, that's what this was for. And, like, so, like, it seems like a lot of things to give up, but also, like, the Canucks are not trying to rebuild right now. The Penguins are. So, I get it. And then they re-signed him, as we talked about earlier. They re-signed him. They extended. Let me clarify. They extended that. So, yeah, I mean, you know.
Then we talked a little bit about the Sharks traded Cody Ceci and Granlund to the Stars, and the Sharks got a first and a third-round pick in 2025. So good on the Sharks. They're just piling up the picks.
From both teams, honestly.
And then we got the one trade where Sammy Walker went to Utah for
What?
future considerations.
Nothing. All right, I'm sorry. Future considerations to me is nothing.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. It'll
Here's $1
become.
million. There you go.
It'll be like a 6th round pick in 2027 by next year. Like that's what it
Definitely.
is. So like clearly Utah is trying to fix their defense. Like I've seen it. Like they picked up Nick DeSimone off of waivers. They have John Marino back now healthy. They bring in Sammy Walker. Like I just have to like I don't know. Like I don't know. Yay. I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I don't. I think this is
Mid-move?
just we need a player.
I want to see more trades like you see in junior hockey where like a guy goes for like 8 first-round picks and a bust. Like I want to see
Yeah.
that. I want to see that.
Like the NBA did. Like what? So many draft picks for one player?
Oh, you mean Mikal Bridges for like 6 first-round picks?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, but someone mentioned to me that like there was a junior hockey trade where a guy got traded for literally a bus.
Yeah, he
And I'm-
did.
And I'm sitting there like, why is this not more of a thing? Like I want more of that.
He got it was one guy got traded for, I think it was 8 picks. 3 were first round, and then the rest were second and third and fourth.
That's insane.
But yeah.
Like I'm telling you, I've seen some trades that are like insane. Like I looked it up and it's like it's incredible. Like, oh, what was it? Oh geez, I saw it recently. I could tell you like I think it was oh, you know what it was? I think it was this trade. I just found it. So it was something like a guy went for like 11 draft picks. Like one guy. Yeah, like one dude, 11 draft picks. Someone needs to tell me how that's a thing. Like
Junior
I want
hockey.
that. I want Mitch Marner to get dealt to Utah for like 8 first-round picks. Like I want to see that. I think that would be insane.
Yeah, that would shake up the NHL.
You know what's also hilarious? You could try to put some of these trades that have happened in the NHL into like NHL 25 and they won't work. How unrealistic these trades can be sometimes. You could put the JT Miller trade. Seriously, I've seen people do it. It doesn't work.
No, it does not. So here's our new segment since you haven't been here, and this is our YouTube community shout out. So first we have your great podcast on there, Devil State of Mind. Then we have my good friend who just joined us, Christopher Works, up there for the community shout out. Then we have Billum Cards on there. We have our good friend Deep Diggers, Dig It, on there for the community shout out. And we have Firebox Breaks on there as well. So congratulations to you guys for the community shout out. Now to and now we go to our favorite segment where it's all about Neil. And this is a great podcast, guys. So go check it out. It's on Spotify, on YouTube. Where else can they find it, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, you can check us out, like I said, on YouTube. We just got over 100 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you to everybody for your support. It's been awesome. We're on Apple, Spotify, and basically wherever you listen to podcasts. Those are just the easiest ways. And you can also check us out on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind, and we're also on Facebook as well. I'm also over on Blue Sky now, the new non-Twitter app that you can follow for all my coverage there as well. So yeah, that's where you can check it out. You basically check it out. Now I'm on Threads too, if you feel like throwing it. I don't know. Like I'm on everything. So
why don't you tell us what's new with you?
So I mean, in terms of the podcast or the Devils?
Well, I caught a little bit of your live rant last night, and I must say that was wonderful.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know if it, whenever I think of a rant, I think of like yelling, but like I don't do that a lot anymore. but like, I'll be very frustrated and very upset. But yeah, like it's safe to say that the Devils have still yet to wake up from their holiday break. Since that, I mean, granted, they won their first game out of the holiday break against the Hurricanes, but then lost the second half of a back-to-back on the 28th of December and has not recovered since. They've been a middling team since then and have slowly, and I mean slowly, dropped themselves off of the top three in the Metro and now are, holding on to it, while teams like the Blue Jackets and even the Islanders are starting to claw back into things. So, the Devils have really struggled with scoring, not just from their bottom six. I know that that's a typical thing for a lot of the Devils fans to complain about. But while the bottom six is certainly an issue, the top guys are not scoring consistently either. I still think, Gaza, that the Devils will make the playoffs. But if things don't change, they're going to make the playoffs like just holding on. Like they're going to limp into it instead of going into it with confidence. This is a very Jekyll and Hyde team. One minute you look at them and they look like world beaters. They look like Stanley Cup contenders. The next minute they look like they'll never score another goal in their lives. That's what you see in a lot of these different games, right? So the question is, what's the problem? Right? What's the issue going on? I think that there's a couple of things that go into this. Number one is that they're obviously not healthy. You don't have Nico Hischier, who just got, as we talked about, is on IR. We won't see him until the break is over, which, one game tomorrow and then we're on break. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. You don't have Jacob Markstrom. Again, hopefully by the end of the break, he's back. Jonas Siegenthaler's hurt now, our top defenseman. Who knows when he's going to be back? I mean, he might be out much longer than we would like. So injuries certainly are a factor. But the team was struggling even when those guys were in the lineup. We were not scoring. And that falls a lot more on the general manager, Tom Fitzgerald, because I think over the last 2 years, he has slowly gotten rid of the Devils' depth. They used to have guys that could score and give the Devils that boost that they needed when the top guys weren't there. So he got rid of guys like Igor Sharangovich, even Jesper Boquist we had. We got rid of Tomas Tatar even after a really, really strong year in 22-23. But you had Tyler Toffoli last year, and because you couldn't work out a long-term extension or just an extension period, you ended up shipping him off, and he was probably without question, to me, the best goal scorer that Jack Hughes has ever had on his wing because of just his ability to put the puck in the back of the net. And you see that now. You're continuing to see it, his success playing alongside Macklin Celebrini in San Jose. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But the Devils definitely are missing several types of forwards. I think Alex Chauvency of the Hockey Writers even said it last night. I think you need like 4 or 5 new forwards in this roster, which you're not going to get at the deadline. You might get 2 at the very least, but you're not going to get enough to reshape this roster the way it needs to be. This is more like, we got to obviously make improvements this year. We got to see where things go once we get into playoffs. And if we don't get it very far, we have to make changes again to adding to this team, because you have the core set. But now there are some questions about the core as well, because when Stefan Nason is saying after the game against the Golden Knights on Thursday, all that he wants this team to do to turn things around is care. I mean, that's a problem in itself. You're meaning to tell me that the guys don't care? And Sheldon keeps saying well, it's not really true. The guys do care. I think that Stefan Nason's being a little bit more honest with us and less political than Sheldon Keefe is.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Nason is being honest and saying some guys are not pulling their weight. They're not emotionally there, and they need to get going. The 2 guys that looked the most dejected last night were Nason and Luke Hughes. They just looked completely and utterly downcast. And I think that everybody's waiting for this break to happen. I hope that they can have a good performance tomorrow and get a win, just to go into the break feeling good about yourself, feeling good about the position you're in terms of the standings, and saying, hey, We're still very much in a playoff spot. We got to get a little bit healthier, but I think this all falls back on the GM that, hey, you need to help this team. You need to help the coach a little bit. Sheldon Keefe can only do so much with the players that he has. And, like, are there times where Sheldon Keefe does things I don't like? Yeah, of course. Of course. But I'm not going to put the whole blame on him. I'm going to put a lot more blame on Tom Fitzgerald. You haven't made a move. The Rangers made a move. The Hurricanes made a move. Like, other teams are making moves, and you're sitting there doing nothing. And you have opportunities out there. And I get it. Sometimes the best move is the move you don't make. And I always say this as well to fans, that there are a lot of times where we may never know what, Tom Fitzgerald wanted or who he was talking to or what type of player he might have been close to getting. Sometimes he goes after a player that he wants and the player has a no trade clause and doesn't want to come. That's what I said about the whole JT Miller situation. He might have had a deal in place truly to get it done, but JT Miller didn't want to come. So how can you blame Tom Fitzgerald for that? You can't. But the other thing is that there are other moves out there that you could probably make. And I just hope that he's not using the team being injured as an excuse for why they don't have enough scoring. Even with them being depleted right now, they still have guys that can score on paper. You still have Jack. You still have Timo Meyer. You still have Jesper Bratt. You still have Dougie Hamilton. You still have Luke. You still have guys that can score, and they're not scoring. That's my issue. Like, nobody's carrying their weight right now. So the bottom line is that I'm very frustrated because this team should be a lot further along than they are, and they're not showing it. So that's what I want to see tomorrow. I want to see better effort. I want to see them look like they care. And they want to end this on a high note and go into the break. Everybody's got to look themselves in the mirror and say, how can I be better? How can I get better? Obviously, take time to rest, but also take time to get your mind right and practice and get yourself going for this stretch. Because after this break, you got 23 games left. You are into the final stretch. It's go time. You need to get points now. You need to win games. You need to have good performances. You need to get back to the level that you were at when we smoked the Rangers 5-0. Sorry, Dan. Right before Christmas. I mean, that was about as good as we had seen the Devils play all year. It was just absolutely dominant play from start to finish. This team can get back there. It's the same guys. There's nothing saying they can't. So some moves have to be made. And you need to this team needs a break. I hate to keep using that as an excuse, but it really feels like that they do to get their minds right. So, we'll worry about that after tomorrow's game against Montreal. But yeah, frustrating times. And I'm talking about a team that's still very much in a playoff spot right now. So, I mean, but when your expectations are as high as they are, you expect them to play at a higher level. And fans have every right to boo them off the ice. Last night, they had every right to boo them off the ice, regardless of who they were playing.
Same with the Rangers. Like, we went from President's Trophy to sitting at the bottom. And then I still think that Kreider should go. Mika should go. Get rid of Keandre Miller if you're going to. Like, at the deadline, I don't think Mika should be here. And I'll be quite frank, I really don't think he should be here. I said this before. I don't think we should have signed Shesterkin. I really don't. That contract's going to hurt us in the long run, especially because, as far as I'm concerned, if we don't make it this year, they're going to try again next year. But after that, it's rebuild or don't. And as a Rangers fan, I know what the Devils fans going in, but put it on a little bit of a lighter note. Is there anyone that you think the Devils should target at the trade deadline to kind of help them with a little bit? Or
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names out there that could potentially be some good options. I've mentioned several names. Ryan Donato comes up from Chicago. I think he would be a good help. Jake Evans, the Devils have been rumored to be interested in him for a while. Ironically, the Devils are playing him and the Canadians tomorrow, so maybe they'll have a talk about it. I know that you're allowed to make trades during the Four Nations face-off, just as long as it's not players that are in the tournament, which I don't think anybody in the tournament is a guy that would likely get traded. There's McCann from Seattle, who is a guy that can score and a guy that could very well get moved at the deadline. Yanni Gord is another name that has been brought up. There are different guys, that I can't think of at the top of my head, but these are just names that could help you in terms of being better on the faceoff dot, getting a little bit more scoring, get a little bit more speed going, because I think that they've sacrificed too much of their speed for grit, and it's not working. And so I think that Tom Fitzgerald has had a tendency to over pursue things. And I always say, keep in mind, while he said that he wasn't worried about the offense in the offseason, there was a reason that he wanted to try to get Steven Stamkos, almost did, and then almost was basically going to get Marchessault before Nashville came in at the last minute and got him. Like, he wasn't as confident as he claimed to be about his offense. And so I think the time is now to make some moves. I know it's a lot harder with teams in your own conference because the Eastern Conference is a lot closer, especially for wildcard spots. But maybe look out west. Look at teams like I mentioned, Chicago, Seattle, Utah, teams that it's more likely and it's more obvious they ain't going anywhere anytime soon, and try to see what you can do. Because right now I think that it's you can't go the rest of the season with the way that the team is structured right now. I think mentally they want help, whether they want to talk about it or not. And I think they want to be the answer to the problem, but you got to help your team out a little bit too. So that's what I want to see from now until the trade deadline.
Definitely. Give a quick shout out to a couple new people that popped in here. We have Julie, we have DK, and we have Alex J's mix in the house. So thanks, guys, for coming. Appreciate it. I guess our next big thing would be if the Devils don't make the playoffs, what do you think? Like, they got a couple more years to try it, or are they going to be like the Rangers?
Well, first and foremost, I think if they don't make the playoffs, then Tom Fitzgerald should be fired, because he built this team to where it is now, and you got to give him credit for some of the moves that he's made to get this team that talented. But to sit on your hands and not try to continuously improve the team and always have an issue going on, blaming injuries or not, the reality is that someone else then has to come in and try to do something different, because it's like, how much more money do the owners want to invest, and how much support they want to invest in a guy that can't get this team to where they should be. This is a team, and this is a group of guys that have made the playoffs once in their short time. Their window has opened, so this is now their opportunity to go win a cup. And they have a lot of talent here, and to me, there's no excuse that they can't, be among the top 5 teams in the NHL with the talent that they have. If they don't make the playoffs, it's obviously, they'll continue to try to push it. You just hope that they don't end up in a situation like the Rangers or even like the Maple Leafs, where they have this core of guys that just cannot get it done, no matter how hard they try. You hope that maybe they're more in like that Colorado, where they keep getting close. And they just add a little bit here or there every year, and eventually it just all comes together. I think that's how Tom Fitzgerald wants to build his team. That sustained success, that sustained competitiveness. But you're not going to get it done if you're just going to sit around and not do anything. So if they don't get it done, if they miss the playoffs in a year where they really should have made the playoffs and they've been in a playoff spot throughout most of the year, someone's got to get fired. And I don't think Sheldon Keefe gets fired after 1 year on the job.
Yeah.
I think that's way too early for him to be put into blame for that. But I think you may have to make some changes to the coaching staff, because you have the same guys for the most part that were here when Lindy Ruff was here. And you most likely would make a GM change, because I think a lot of fans would go, why do I want to support a GM that continuously sits on his hands, doesn't do enough, and then puts himself in, a bad situation? So
I think right now too, no GMs want to break the mold. They all see the mold as has won the cup. But I think being the GM, you have to build your team the with what you have. Like the Devils are high flying. Like that's how they should have built that team. They should have built that team high flying, like the Oilers. The Oilers have a high flying team. Their defense maybe not the greatest, but they're outscoring teams, and that's how I see the Devils. Like they're high flying, high octane.
Mm-hmm. And the problem is that the general manager has taken away a lot of that high flying over the last couple of years because he's been sensitive to the team getting pushed around physically. You know, whether it was in that second round series against the Hurricanes or last year, the amount of times they were getting bullied around. He overcompensated for that and sacrificed speed for grit, and that just wasn't going to go well with the team that you have constructed. So now it's almost like you have to then flip it back the other way again, and you gotta try to figure it out by adding some guys if you can at the deadline that are a little bit more speed, a little bit more skill, can score, and just provide you that depth. I mean, another guy is Gustav Nyquist out of Nashville, another guy that could potentially help. Like, their bottom six just also isn't cutting it, quite frankly. Guys like Tomas Tatar and, even to a lesser extent, Eric Halla or even Nate Bastian, Curtis Lazar, Curtis McDermott. Like, this is a brutal bottom six that is not that good. And even Paul Cotter, after a nice start to the year, just not getting a whole lot going. And so really that's why I say, like, you are probably needing 4 or 5 new guys. And obviously you could call some guys up from Utica, but you'll also have to move on from some guys as well. And I don't know if the Devils want to make that drastic of a change to their roster during the season. It's more that there's some guys that they need to add to replace some guys that they should move on from. And that's all they can really do at this point, and hope that maybe it turns it around, because it seems like this team is just waiting for something that's going to turn them around.
And then Dig comes in with, it's kind of weird hearing high flying with the Devils, the Trap and the Devils still pair with me.
I mean, that's just a very typical thing for a certain generation, that they were so used to the Devils playing that Trap. But this is not your Lou Lamoriello's New Jersey Devils. This is a different era, different organization altogether, playing much more closer to what the NHL game is today. And hopefully they can turn it around starting tomorrow. Who knows? I always say, you never know what game could be the game that really turns it around.
New day.
Maybe they come out and they dominate the Canadians, and you feel good about it, and you understand that, like, Nico's coming back, Markstrom's coming back, like, you're gonna get some reinforcements. Maybe making a trade or two. I mean, this is honestly a good time to do it during this break, especially if it's for guys that you can make a move for, because then you give them time to get into practice, when you get back, and you get them ready to go, and you might have a completely different team by the time we see them again in a couple weeks.
And right now, you don't want to waste those years of the Hughes brothers either. You want to get them to the playoffs. You want to get them that experience, because they want.
Playoffs, you don't know what could happen.
Yeah,
you don't know how things are going to fall. So
definitely, and you don't want to waste them like Buffalo did with Eichel.
Right, and again, you don't want to waste it like the way the Leafs, have gone. I'm sorry, but like, it's the truth. Like,
yeah,
the Leafs have won how many playoff series since Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares have been there? I mean, you don't want to be in that position. You just
same
don't.
With you can put the Rangers in that same boat as well.
Right. It's nice to know that, like, your team is always good enough to make the playoffs and give yourself a shot, but it's very frustrating when they never have enough to get over the edge, So that's
and a great team that you could go by that's traded a few of their stars, and that is Florida. Florida only had Huberdeau and Ekblad from when they started. They've traded away. They gained Matthew Tkachuk, yes, and that was probably the biggest trade that has helped that team. But they picked up Gustav Forsling off waivers and look at what the player he's become.
Right, exactly. And you have to be willing to make risky moves that are going to maybe shake up the locker room, moves that are going to maybe shake up the core of your team. But you're signaling to the team that you're not messing around. You're trying to do whatever it takes to win. You're not just, trying to keep everybody happy, joy in the locker room. Like, you may have to move an Andre Palat. That, a lot of people respect in the locker room, but the dude is not producing at a level that he needs to produce at while playing on Jack's wing. You may have to move a guy like that. Maybe you do move a Dougie Hamilton at some point, and that might be uncomfortable for a lot of people. But you may have to do it in order to make the right move to taking the team to the next level. And I don't know who that is, Dan. I can't sit here and tell you I know exactly who that guy is.
No, me either.
It's a matter of see what it is. But if Tom Fitzgerald is not willing to make moves like that and not willing to make moves, period, during the season to help this team, then the Devils have to find someone else that is more willing to do that.
Sometimes you got to make the panic move. As bad as that sounds, sometimes you have to make the panic move, and that move might be the one that turns out.
Sometimes you got to trade 10 first-round picks for some random dude in junior hockey.
Or a bus and a pucks.
Or a bus. Sometimes, hey, look, you got to get from point A to point B traveling-wise. Sometimes
Definitely.
you just need it. So.
Or like in Moneyball, just put the dollar Coke machine in the locker room. Maybe that does the whole world of the difference.
Yeah, gotta do something. Gotta do something.
But we're at that time here. We want to thank Neil for coming on again. It's always a pleasure when Neil's here. This is a good little get it off your chest rant night tonight for the couple of New York fans and Devils fans here. So this is a great night. We had a lot of good talks. Talked a little bit about the NBA, a little bit about all the hockey trades. I still think the Calgary trade is going to be the one that really is going to be shocker to everyone.
It's a good one.
And it's probably still some trades to come yet. If the NBA trade deadline was that packed, I'm hoping the NHL one's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I hope the Rangers trade.
You hope that the NHL trade deadline would be good, but knowing our luck, we usually get nothing.
This will be all the trade that happen.
It get boring, It'll get boring for the next month.
Yeah, definitely. And just to update, the Rangers are still losing 3-2 with 8 minutes left in the third.
Maybe I'll go watch the end of this when we're done.
That is just a shame.
Well,
but I mean, that's why we're sports fans.
Of course.
I mean, coming from me and you, I see you're a Giants fan, so we know all about that.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Me either.
I don't want to talk. Don't. I don't want to talk about it.
It's a pain.
Football was a blur to me this year.
Well, at least we don't have to pay the refs to win the Super Bowl.
Eli Manning got screwed out of the Hall of Fame last night. I'm not.
Yeah, no, that is terrible.
I'm not here for that. I'm not here for any of that.
But Neil,
and all that sports sucks sometimes.
Thanks for coming on tonight, buddy. It's always a pleasure when you're here, and I always enjoy myself.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I always appreciate coming on and chatting it up for sure.
Definitely. It's always a fun time when you're here. The laughs and the chat, they all just have fun. And as you know, or maybe you don't, I get called Sami Zayn because whenever Sami Zayn's not on TV, I'm on here. So they think that there's a conspiracy theory going on that I am Sami Zayn. Okay. But Robert just proved it. He said Sami Zayn wasn't on SmackDown tonight.
There you go.
So, Robert, you may be on something, but I can't give away my secrets.
He's leaning into the conspiracy theory very well.
But, Neil, you know the routine. As it is, we let the guests close out the show on Hockey Stick Talk Nation tonight. So, Neil, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like we were talking about before, you guys can check out the Devil State of Mind podcast over on YouTube. I post weekly episodes, and I've been getting a lot of guests on recently, which has been good. You've really been enjoying that, just getting other people's perspective on the Devils and other things like that. Also, check us out if you're listening to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, go check it out. Leave it, and if you haven't already, please leave a 5-star rating over on Spotify or Apple. Really, really does help out the podcast grow and continue to grow, which is super appreciative. And like I said before, follow us on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind, and also give us a like over on Facebook as well as Threads and Blue Sky as well. I'm on all those talking Devils hockey. So yeah, Dan, thank you so much for having me on tonight, and really look forward to chatting up with you again in the near future.
Definitely. And just so everyone knows, we have Checking from Behind coming on next week, which is going to be great. Two fellas. So that'll be a fun one. And then we also have the week after, we have Kai, our sponsor, coming on to talk to us. So we'll finally get to meet Kai and everything like that. But like I said, Neil, it's always a pleasure when you're here. And for anybody who wants, his link is in the description, also pinned in the chat. And you can go click and make sure you give him a thumbs up, sub up to him, and give him a comment on it. Helps channels grow as well. Even if you comment, hey, I saw you on Dan's show last night. Comment. It helps the channels. He's only at 100, and I know everyone in here. Let's get him to at least 120 by the weekend.
That would be
I'm
awesome.
challenging you all. 120 on Devil State of Mind on YouTube. Let's do it.
That would be awesome. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So without further ado, thanks again. This is Hockey Stick Talk Nation. This is Dan. This is my good buddy Neil. And I hope you guys enjoyed the live. And we will see you next Friday. Later, everyone.